Hey guys, good morning and welcome. Yep, you can see my desktop and you can see my mouse. So that means that we are gonna have a tutorial of sorts. Yep, I figured it's 4:47 a.m. as you can see on my computer right there on the 10th of September, a Friday. And you might be wondering why on earth is he up at this time talking to a computer? And the reason is that my daughter isn't well, so I am not sleeping during the night just in case she needs help. And then when my wife wakes up, she then takes over taking care of my daughter while I sleep. So that's why I am up at minutes to 5 in the morning looking for something to do to stay awake. And I didn't want to do a jet flight, so figured why not do something in VFR and at the same time show you a way to enjoy the simulator a lot more. Now ideally I would have wanted to do this on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I did try, but with the update there's some parts that aren't clickable, the mouse doesn't turn. I have to change it in settings, but I don't have the time to learn all of that then to do a video for you. So what I am going to do is do everything I was going to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator in P3D version 5. The visuals won't be as great, so I will try to keep it from being default scenery and just keep it to period that I might have. So what we're going to look at is an application called FS Economy, and what it does is put a bit more structure in the flight simulator, if you will. The only thing that comes to memory that was similar to this was kind of like FS Passengers, which made the flight simulator experience a bit more goal oriented. Now there's other applications there, I think like a Pilot's Life, but it can be expensive, whereas what we're going to look at today is completely free. And even though I'm going to be showing it in P3D, it will work in Microsoft Flight Simulator, P3D, or even X-Plane. So you're not limited to it. And the application we're going to look at is FS Economy. Now I'm not going to go through how to set it up and stuff like that, though I will give you some tips as we go along. So the first tip that I'm going to give you is if you're using Microsoft Flight Simulator or P3D, have FSUI PC on your computer, because that makes life a lot easier for you. And if you have X-Plane, then have XSUI PC, the equivalent of FSUI PC for X-Plane. And then you just get the client and then Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. So FS Economy will leave you with an icon like this on your desktop, and this is what you actually use to log into the world. So I don't have my flight simulator open as yet, so it's going to give me all these messages saying network not connected, FSS not linked, there's no aircraft, no timeout. Once I connect my flight simulator, all of this is going to change, which I will do in a few. But what I want to do before I do all of that is get an idea of what I am going to be doing, which means that I need to get my internet browser open, which in my case is Chrome. So I'm gonna look for my FS Economy shortcut. Here it is, and this is going to be the login page. Now FS Economy basically makes you, the pilot, a bounty hunter of sorts. If you're not familiar with what a bounty hunter does, they hunt for bounty, money. You'll be doing the same thing, which is a little bit different to real life. In real life, passenger comes to the pilot to get a job done. In this case, you go to the passengers to get paid. So you look across the FS economy world based on the aircrafts that you have in your hangar, and then you decide where it is that you want to go to make money. So this is the first page that you're going to come to when you log into the server. So as you can see, these are my credentials up there. This is the money that I have. I have two sets of money, some in the bank and some on cash. The reason I have in the bank is because, like real life, money in the bank makes interest. Albeit to be very little in real life, it can be considerable in here depending on how much money you have in the bank. Cash is what you're going to get from the job. They don't wire you your salary. You get paid cash for each job that you do. So when it gets to like maybe 10,000 or so, I tend to put it into the bank and then go again. There's a limit that you can fly per 48 hours. Once you reach that, because you can't exceed it, once you reach that 48 hours, the system will not allow you to fly. The most important part that you're going to be looking at mainly is here, because this is where you decide where you want to fly. Remember, jobs that you're looking for must be based on the airplanes that you have in your flight simulator. So you might see a job that requires a 747 and you don't have a 747. It doesn't make sense booking it because you don't have the aircraft. Anyways, let's get into it now. So what I always do here is I always search based on the aircraft that I have. Today we're going to use the 172 I have. So let's go into the drop down list. Cessna 172 210. Here we go. I click rentable because even though I have it in my hangar, I don't have enough money to buy it in the game. Therefore, it will be rented. I click go and it shows me all of the different options where they have a Cessna 172. I am going to be looking for some place where I have payware in P3D, because I really hate flying in default in P3D. It's not the nicest looking. I know I have Keflavik, but the jobs from Keflavik aren't that nice either. It takes me to default airports, so I'm trying to avoid going there, but it looks like I have no choice. So let's see here. I'm just checking to see. Some of these might actually be orbits strips, I'm not sure, but let's start with Keflavik. And once I do that, it's going to show me all of the different jobs I have. Now pay attention to the jobs you book. This job shows I can make $1,541 just by traveling 153 miles, but it takes 6 passengers. Unless you plan to put 3 of those passengers on the wings, you can't take these. And no, the game will not let you put passengers on the wing. So you want to look for a job which will allow you to take enough passengers. Another thing to note is that even though this says 3 passengers, this is considered one job. This is 1 passenger, but it's also considered one job. And it's something to consider when you have bigger planes, because depending on how many jobs you have means the difference between getting taxed extra or not. So for example, if you were going to get taxed on 1 passenger, which you wouldn't, but just say for the sake of argument you would, if you took this 3 passengers and then took another passenger, for all intensive purposes, this acts as if it's just 2 passengers. Whereas now you can take 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you could take this, you can't, but if you could say you took these 4 jobs, they would be treated as 4 individual passengers. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how to make it any simpler than that, I'm afraid. Anyways, moving on. Let's go to the bottom and see the cost of the aircrafts. We've got 3 Skyhawks here. We've got this one, but it looks like it's already rented because you don't have the option to rent. You have this one here, which gives you one option to rent, which is dry, whereas some gives you a wet and a dry rate. Now, if you're not familiar with the phraseology renting dry or renting wet, this refers to fuel. If you rent dry, whatever fuel you put into the aircraft, you're going to pay for, whether you use it or not. So for the sake of argument, if you put 10 gallons fuel in the Cessna and you only use 5, you're still going to pay for that 10 gallons. With the renting wet, you pay for the fuel that you use only. So if you filled up the Cessna 172 and then you use 5 gallons out of 40 or whatever the case may be, you only pay for that 5 gallons. So that put aside, we've got a Cessna 172 here, which is rented out already. You got another one here that's rented out, which leaves only the rent dry option 1. So the first thing that I want to do is I am going to rent the aircraft. And then when I go up here on my flight, it shows I have the aircraft here. It has 37 gallons of fuel, which is 68% of the capacity. And then they say something about an aircraft bonus. You want to pay particular attention to this because this could mean the difference between making a profit or making a loss. A distance bonus is kind of a reward or a penalty that an owner of an aircraft puts on it. The reason this is done is because some owners prefer the plane to come back to them, and it deters people from taking the plane too far away, because if the plane is just ferrying back, it's just costing the owner money and he's getting nothing out of it. There's no job to pay to get it back. So you're encouraged $10 per certain distance. I don't recall the amount of distance, but every time that you cover that distance towards the owner's home base, you will get $10 put on to your pay. If you go in the opposite direction, you pay that $10 because you're taking it further away. And the way to avoid it is to make sure that you do jobs that is going to the owner. So when I had booked it, this is it here, this arrow tells you the direction that you need to fly in order to avail of this $10 bonus. See, the arrow is pointing down, so anything southeast will get you that $10 bonus. Anything like this or this means that you are going to be paying that $10 bonus. So that in mind, we are going to choose jobs which means we don't incur that bonus. Now it might seem like a lot, so feel free to pause the video, go back and listen again if there's something that you didn't understand, or if you prefer, just put it in the comments below and I will be more than happy to explain further any queries that you might have. So going back to the jobs, I have a job here. I don't think the plane can carry 2,355 kg, so that's going to be a no. We're looking for jobs that are going to be going down, not up. So let's go through here and see what we have. All of these are up. I can do this, but I prefer to go in the direction that the arrow is to get that extra 10, because even though that you're going east to the guy, you're not going down southeast, which means you don't get the full 10. So I'm gonna look for a job that is very profitable for me. Usually I look for the highest cost going in that direction. So let's have a look. We've got a couple here at 782. And if you look at these two jobs, if I do 2 of these jobs, it's gonna net me something like 1500, just under, let's see, 782. 2 of these jobs is going to be just under 1500, just over $1,500. But if I did this job here where it takes 2, I am 300 less. So being the greedy bugger that I am going to go for the single ones. I can take 3 passengers because I am the pilot, and I want to make sure I'm going the same place. Now if you look across here, you'll see that these jobs have days here. This is how many days the job is remaining. Once it is 0 days, the job disappears, whether it's been done or not. Passenger got tired waiting and went back home. So I am going to book these passengers in by clicking on this here, add selected assignments to my flight. That's done. I go to my flight, and now I have 3 jobs, which is going to bring me $2,346. And I have a plane that takes 37 gallons. Just to make sure, sorry, that has 37 gallons. Now, I don't want to put fuel in the plane because I know that the plane can go the distance that I want to go, which, as you can see here, is 70 miles. It's actually cargo that I'm taking, but anyways. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a couple things. I want to make sure that if I enter how many passengers I have, it tells me what's the max fuel that I can take. So the maximum passengers I can take is 3 because the plane only holds 4. I click on calculate, and it says the maximum fuel I can take with 3 passengers is 45.9 gallons. I have 37 gallons here, but I am not 100% sure how much fuel I actually need. So in that case, I come here and I put in the distance that I need to fly, which is 70, and it tells me I only need 6 gallons of fuel, and I have 37 gallons. This means I am not paying for any fuel to go into the aircraft, and it gives me kind of a bearing that I need to fly in order to get to my destination. Now I have already gone on to SimBrief, I believe, and I think I have this already put in my flight plan. I'm gonna edit this because I think it is going, no, I had it correct. I'm going to be IVM. So we're gonna fly at 3,000 feet. If it's VFR, we can go 3,500. Doesn't really make much of a difference as I'm going to be flying in the same on my own. So what I like to do, if I'm using the P3D, is I use certain applications that I wouldn't in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is Avlosoft for one. I'm also gonna save it in P3D, and I'm done with that. So let's get into P3D. Okay, so EFB2 server, EFB2 client, active Skyfall weather, of course. Please guys, you've just seen my email there. Please do not email me. If you want to talk, leave a comment, but that's my professional email, and I rather not having unsolicited emails, please. I hope you guys understand. Alright, so I'm gonna put my flight plan in here. Keflavik Vesmanier. If you guys know how to pronounce that better than me, please feel free to leave that in the comments as well. If there's anything that I do during this video that you're not 100% sure about, feel free to ask a question. I will try to answer to the best of my ability. So we are starting off here in Keflavik, and we can either go straight along the coastline and then over here, or we can do the land. We can do the land thing. It doesn't really make a difference. We'll see how it looks when we go up. So let's go here. And this is version 5 that I'm using for Prepare 3D. Now while we are waiting for that to load, we actually need to go on FS Economy, the client. I'm going to log in, so I click on account. My credentials are already in, so I click OK. I get a message saying account accepted, but it's saying FS not linked, but I'm connected to the network. This means that my simulator hasn't launched as yet, so it is not linked. I'm using FS UIPC 6 in this simulator, so once it comes up, now it's changed to FS link, which means it can actually read my simulator. So I am going to use the Cessna 172 by A2A. 172. That's the airport. So let me cancel that. Here's where I want to go for 172. 172. And what color shall we go with? Let's go with that one. Flight planner. And we are doing this one. And just remember to choose a gate out rather than the runway, out of habit, even if I'm flying offline. I want a ramp gate, so let's go with this one, as I don't want to be by a jetway. Yes, I want it to be daytime, so let's put it as let's put it early afternoon, 1400 hours. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be my first time setting this up, so bear me 2 seconds. Let me just forward. I use zoom. I think that should be okay. It's just so funny, I really can't see that much from here. Anyways, it's fine. Alright, so first thing I want to do is go back here, and now I am going to click on start flight, and the message is going to come up telling me my current weight, both in kilos and pounds, the required weight, and the required payload, and then it tells me how much to add. Now I can add it if I want, but most of the time I just click ignore load. It doesn't matter to me. It's a Cessna 172. And now you can see that I have my jobs loaded. I'm still linked to the network and my flight simulator as well, and then it's telling me to return the aircraft by 3 hours and 59 minutes. That way you don't have a plane sitting on the ground for ages. So I've got my flight plan in, and it tells me to take off from runway 19, which is what I'm going to do. So this is me here, and it's quite a short taxi to the left. Alright, I still feel like I'm too far. Anyways, we'll make it work. Alright, so let's see here. I haven't flown this aircraft in a minute. Alright, so that's on. Beacon is on. All this stuff should be off, which it wasn't. Fuel is on. Nobody in sim, but clear prop. Can't say it too loud because everyone is sleeping. As you can see, it's 5:15 or almost. Oh, my bad. Forgot to put on the master. And we're going to take the RPMs up to 1,000. So if you're not familiar with the Cessna 172, this is the 1,000 here, which is 10, 1,500, 2,000. You shouldn't really be up there unless you're doing a run-up or the aircraft is actually moving. So my nav should be on. I put on all my lights at once because I don't like clicking on and clicking off. Okay.
Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions, few clouds at 1,100, feeling 2,800, broken. Temperature 10, dew point 8. Altimeter 2988. Visual, runway 28 in use. Landing and departing, runway 28. VFR air.
I don't need to hear that either. We don't need any of that for this tutorial. Alright, so I'm just gonna pop this down here so I can see where I'm going. Park and brake is off. What? That's not good. Not sure why I got that shorted there just now. Alright. So I need to make a right down here. This might be a bit harder to do. Guys, forgive me. I'm more comfortable with jets at the moment. I haven't flown one of these aircraft in ages. And just so you guys know, you can actually do jets with FS economy. You don't have to be doing it with general aviation aircraft. You can do it pretty much with any aircraft that you have in your flight simulator. I'm just doing it with the Cessna 172 because I thought it would be easier, but maybe I should have just done an Airbus. Okay, we need to go left here. Come on, Johnny, get on the line. Sloppy taxi. But everything that I've done so far basically is all you need to do, and we're just gonna fly to the location, drop off the passengers, and once we drop them off, then we get paid, and that's all there is to it basically. Now, one thing that I would say to you is, in the case that you have too many passengers, you see on here I have the 3 jobs or the 3 cargo. If I had taken say 19 individual jobs, it will only take how many the aircraft can actually take. So that's why I said you always want to make sure, one, you're taking, gosh, we're flying, you're taking what the aircraft can take. And if you're doing a job that has multiple components in it, like more than one passenger or more than one cargo, you want to make sure that you can actually carry the payload. Okay, we are here. Now A2A is one of the most immersive aircrafts. I don't think anyone is going to be here, so I'm just gonna stop here and we're gonna do our run up. So unfortunately this is one of the aircrafts that have a carburetor still. So we're gonna advance to 1700 RPMs. That's 15, 16, 17. I'm holding the brakes while doing this. And then we're going to do what we call a Magneto Check, which is basically switching from both magnetos to the left. That one went to the right. So that's what it's going to creepy most. Alright, so the right one, you see it's running a bit rough. So in that case, what I'm going to do is full power and try to burn it off. That's not good. Idling fine. Let's go back to 1700 RPMs. 17. Drop of 50, that's fine. Go back. 2. We're gonna go, and then when they come back I'll put it into maintenance and get it started. She idles fine. Alright, strobes on, we're gonna join the runway. One set of flaps down. Clear left. Clear right. let's get out of here. No, not yet. No. Dang, she wants to fly. Oh, it gets rid of. Flaps coming up. Once we get to the 1,000 feet, we'll turn. I try to stay beneath the clouds. It's not a bank. I haven't set it up for flying from VOR to VOR. So I'm going to use Ablesoft as a guide as to where I want to go. So right now I am a bearing of 090 degrees, 098 should take me over to it. We got an IFR flight plan for 3,000 feet, so technically we could fly through the clouds, but I'll try to keep it beneath the clouds. Okay, so we're still gonna go through some. When you're in clouds, you want to keep your eye on your instruments. Right now, I've got my wings level, but I'm climbing up 500 feet per minute. That's fine. Okay, so we can go to 3,000 if you're still in clouds at 3,000. Then we'll come back down. But it's quite easy to get disoriented because you have no reference and then end up being in a bank. So these instruments here, these are your friends. This is telling the heading that I want, so I should be on a 098 heading. I'm on a 120 heading. This tells me I'm banking, and this tells me that I'm still climbing. My airspeed indicator is also going to be a guide as if I'm still climbing or if I'm descending. If it's increasing, it means I'm either level or I'm descending, depending on how much power I have in. If it's decreasing, it means that I'm in a climb. That's 3,000 coming up, so I'm going to trim that away. And I'm going to bring the RPMs back to low. aircraft the whole time. Try to trim her out. Letting go of the controls for a bit to see if she stays. Now I'm hands off, I'm just using my feet to steer the aircraft. She's descending a bit, so a little bit more trim up. So she stayed there. I'm happy anyways. Let's cut this short and just go straight over the sea. I'm gonna do a direct on base. Direct to the airport. Select. Rather than doing all of that, and we will do this so that we can keep the video short. Start descent. And now I need a bearing of 133. It's a shame because I wanted to see around. Go down a bit. See a window here. It's no fun flying slow and then you can't see outside. You don't want to be that low that you also hit mountains as well. Multiple clouds rather, for the most part. It's got some ice, and I wonder if it actually needs ice at this time of year in Kevin. Stuff, so let's see. And let's go. Keep the rest on. Try to be proud of me with no hands and the aircraft fully trimmed out. However, I should be at 2.5 if I'm doing VFR, and I'm up a 1200, or 120 feet rather. Just using my feet now to turn the aircraft. So I have rudder pedals. 25 miles to go. As you can see here. What I might do is, let's see, the IVN procedure. Let's see what's the right that VIPN. Wind 214 at 3 knots. And we've got the runway 21, so that's the runway we're going to use. Runway 21 for landing. Start to descend a little bit, and I am in a bank. Again, I'm using just the rudders. If I was using the ailerons, you would see the yoke moving. It's just my feet that are moving. I've drifted a bit, so I'm going to turn back. So the elevation is 264 feet. Traffic altitude pattern is going to be, say, 1300 feet. We are landing on runway 21, but we are at a heading of 140, which means we're going to pass the airport, then turn around and come back into land. I used to have a Diamond 62 in V3D version 4.5. That aircraft was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the developer doesn't develop for it anymore. It's been pretty much absent since I bought it, to be honest. So it does not work in Prepare 3D V5. Otherwise, I would have actually had that because that's a twin engine aircraft, which I prefer to fly, and it carries 6 passengers, which means more money for FS economy. I'm just using this as my theoretical glass cockpit. 6,000 feet after all. But we are going to start descending shortly down to 1,300 feet. So probably around 20 miles we'll start to come off the rudder. We'll start our descent down. As we're not high, so it's not going to take that much for us to get down to the 1,300 feet. Start getting down, as it doesn't look like these clouds are going to disappear anytime soon, and I'd rather get down and have time to look around to see the airport rather than be on top of it and then not sure because I'm trying to get through clouds. Still in clouds, 400 feet ago. Disappearing from our altitude now, so we're gonna hold around 1400 until we can see the airport environment. it looks like this airport is in the middle of the sea. Strange place. Would be interesting. 35 miles to go. I'm sorry for the length of this video, guys. I did not plan for it to be this long. But we are almost there. What I like about Amazon, unlike the Garmin in the default aircraft, is it tells me exactly where I'm actually going to be landing. So I'm landing on runway 21, which means I need to come out here and then come in. Just go back on the auto. I don't have any this chase planes yet. So I'm generate speed so I can have spots. Grade 5 baggage though, it's not gonna hide good. Right flat. This plane is so slow though. I could get out and swim faster. Reminds me of Dave. I know Dave loved these GA aircrafts, but man, they move too slow. In real life, I don't mind so much because it's all that I can afford to rent at the moment. But in the sim, I've got a need for speed. And this has the speed of a slug. Thing for me is that it's hard for me to talk to the computer. I don't know how Michael and Dave and Chief does it, but it's just weird for me. And I'm actually out of words now, so to keep talking and talking for the next 30 miles is going to kill me. Now if I was in an Airbus, that 30 miles would be gone like that. Got 104 knots across the ground. Good Lord. that I wanted to show though, if I go back here and I refresh my flight, it tells you that your flight is in progress. So if something happened and say the same crash, I can click on cancel. But we're not going to do that because I'm almost there. And Daddy needs to get paid. Just under 1400. Remember, we need to be at 1300 for traffic pattern altitude. I'm not going to fly the pattern though, I'm just going to go and then do a straighting. This flight has been longer than I expected, which means the video is also longer than I expected as well. It'll be interesting to see this airport. I'm really hoping that it's an Orbitz airport, because if it is, it's not going to be as bad as I think it might be. I see something over there. Is there? Yep. That's the island there. Kind of reminds me of my cross country. I went from Barbados to St. Lucia, which was about 99 miles out, and then from St. Lucia I went to Grenada, which was probably like another 60 miles maybe. No, 100 and it was 100 and change. I don't remember exactly how much, and then 154 from Grenada to Barbados. It's 6 a.m. so time to sleep. It wasn't interesting before. Definitely it's going to be now because we're in clouds. Oh, I jinxed it. I had done more preparation for the flight because I actually started recording this tutorial in MFS and I only changed to this at the spur of the moment thing when MFS was acting up. But if I had prepared more for this tutorial, I would have gotten the VOR from here and I could have used that to find my way here rather than doing this cheat with Ablasoft. Which would have been kind of nice because I love doing tracking via radios and stuff like that. And possibly could have done a VOR approach. I'm not sure if you have an ILS here. NDB, which is 375. Get quite a few NDBs. The type of purchase I could have done for runway 21. I see a 2 here, I see a 1 too. Say 12 and 3. Oh well. I can hear my daughter saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" No, we're there when we get there. Which is, please God, in the next few minutes. My bum is sore from sitting so long. Because I know that Navigramp is a half runway 21. I could have done 12 and just demonstrating. The longer runway. There's a short one, slightly short. 1143 meters. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Oh my bum. That's one of the things that I like about FS Economy, because before today, I didn't even know that BIVN was an airport. And while I do like flying my jets and commercial airline ops, it's very limited in terms of the airline, in terms of the destinations that I have. Whereas with this, the whole world is pretty much free range. I think I see the runway somewhere over here. This is confirmed. Yep, that's turning. Still no ailerons, just using my feet. And I'm still keeping my altitude. I thought I saw the runway going that way, I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll see when we get there. Alright, let's slow this thing down. What we're looking for now is to get into this arc so I can start with the first notch of flaps. And I'm going to make sure that I don't go beneath 1300 feet until I actually have the runway in sight on tab. This might get a bit tricky. Is that the runway there? Nah, that can't be the runway. That might be why 21 doesn't show as a runway, because you gotta go through rocks. I ain't going all the way around there at this speed to come back. Let's see what we can do. I think that's it there. But I've got this thing here, which means I can't get on. Oh no. There's one there. So we are going to go for this one here. Alright, flap one. It's a nice approach though. Now I see why runway 21 wasn't showing up, because of this rock. You can't go straight through it. Fortunately enough, I'm small and slow, so I can just go around it and then turning. Then I can probably slip it down to the ground. I should have actually gone through there, but I didn't think it was possible. This little cove there and come straight in. But that's fine. We got this. Not to flaps. That's it, flaps. I still struggle to land this plane, so I'm hoping. I've got 2 rides and 2 whites, so I am alright. I've got 3 rides and a little bit more power. And I rest that descent until I have 2 whites and 2 rides again. Here we go. definitely don't want to be too fast on this. Got 3 whites. 2 rights, 2 whites. I'm gonna try not to bounce. No promises. There we go. And we are down. Welcome to Viva. Where's the FBO? Let's go over here. Flaps coming up. The rain. This is an RBC airport. Parking brake on. There we go, your flight was log. However, the reported fuel was below acceptable levels. Well, this is different. I don't get that because I am full on fuel here. Alright, let's just cap this. Oh my gosh. My track here won't let me look that far. I'm trying to get here to open the door window. That's fine. Alright. So let's have a look at this and see what's going on. So let's see logs. View. I don't know what's up with that message because it was still accepted. So I've flown 0.93. I've made 2,346. The rental cost was $116. I didn't have to pay for fuel because that's included in the hour. There's no landing fees because that small total additional cost. And then the distant bonus is $7 instead of 10. I think it's based on 100 miles. And because I only flew 70 miles, then I got $7 instead of 10. But anyways, that's it basically for the tutorial and how to make your simulator a bit more goal oriented. I know that after a while when you're simming, it tends to get a little bit monotonous because it's just takeoff and landings for virtual airline. And once you get, because of how restrictive the virtual airline is, you don't really get to explore as much. Eventually you will run out of doing the legs that the airline has, so then you look for something different. Whereas where FS economy comes in, you can pretty much go anywhere you like in the world with this. You make money. Eventually you can buy your own aircraft and rent it out, or you can start your own FBO. The options are pretty open to what your preference is really. So that's it pretty much for this video. It was longer than I anticipated, but thank you so much for watching. And if you like the content, feel free to give me a like. I really appreciate it. If you're new, subscribe. I appreciate that also. And that would allow you to see whenever I actually post content like this. I don't do GA videos too often. I do tend to do more tutorials on different aspects of aviation, and I do a lot of commercial operations as well. So it's very diverse in terms of what I do, the airplanes that I use. And if the general aviation isn't your thing, then at some point you will still see a video regarding jets and airline ops and stuff like that. But again, massive thank you for watching the video, and I'm gonna wish you a great day. I am gonna go to sleep shortly. So it's either a great day, good morning wherever you are, good night, good evening, depending. And I will see you when I see you. See ya!